Today we have T.S. Ramakrishnan, who is a public policy analyst. He has been doing his research analysis in public policies and programs of union and the state government. He has got his doctoral degree from Indian Institute of Management from Ahmedabad. Today we are going to talk about the various contributions and achievements of the union government.
I am Ramakrishnan, done my PhD from IIM Ahmedabad in public policy. I have been observing the developments of this government for the last 5 years. I would like to share with the people of India on some of the schemes and programs that have been implemented by the union government.
Sir, how has Indian Railway improved in its safety record from the last 5 years?
Yeah, it's a good question that whether the Indian Railway has improved its safety record in the last 5 years. Certainly it has improved its safety record in the last 5 years, but it has to be seen in two different contexts. The first context is in terms of safety of the passengers who are travelling by trains, and the second one is safety of the road users who are crisscrossing with the railway lines. So, we will take these two separately and then we will see how the safety record of railways have improved over the last 5 years.
To what extent do you believe that the journey of rail passengers are safe today?
The safety record of railway, especially with reference to passengers who are travelling by trains, has improved significantly in the last 5 years. The number of accidents has come down drastically because they have increased the maintenance work of tracks very much. There are no collisions, the signalling system has improved, and the only cause of any accident is the derailment. But again, the government has taken enough measures to see that the derailment does not result in more casualties and more injuries. There are three levels at which actually the safety has to be seen. The first one is you should prevent accidents. That means there should not be any accidents. That is the first thing. The second thing is, even if accidents happen, then in that case the casualties and then the injuries have to be lower. Third one is rectifying the faults and then making it more and more safer. There are three levels at which actually we work. So, the prevention is already substantially done. The number of derailments has substantially decreased over the last 5 years. That is one aspect. The second aspect is very critical. This is where actually this government has contributed significantly. The Ministry of Railways have contributed significantly. Why, when a derailment happens, why people get killed? Why people get injured? This is a very common question. After all, the derailment is nothing but the train moves away from the tracks, that is all. It is as simple as that. Then why should it kill people? Because earlier we have been using the so called ICF coaches. The ICF coaches are the very old technology that we have been using from 1960 onwards, and the coupling between the coaches are not good. So, as a result, whenever there is a derailment happens, the coaches are thrown out, they fly in the air or they jump into one another. So, as a result of this, there will be more casualties, there will be more injuries. Then we have introduced the LHB coaches, which are German technology coaches, which does not create this kind of mayhem. Even if the derailment happens, the casualties are almost nil, the injuries are very minimal because they do not jump into one another, the coaches do not fly into the air, they are not thrown out. So, the government has taken a very important decision in 2017 when Suresh Prabhu was the railway minister. The Ministry of Railway has taken a very important decision that they will no longer manufacture ICF coaches, they will manufacture only LHB coaches. That is, they will manufacture only the German technology coaches, which are very safe for the passengers compared to the ICF coaches. So, that is one important decision. The second decision is, what will you do with the ICF coaches that India and Railway has manufactured over the years? They are also running. So, now they have decided to convert all the ICF coaches. They have decided to incorporate the safety system, changing the coupling of the coaches in such a way that they become more safe. That means you are retrofitting each and every ICF coach with LHB coach coupling system, so that the ICF coaches also become safe. So, both processes are underway, and when all the coaches have become more or less become LHB coaches or German technology based coaches, the safety will be very much improved. Even if there is a derailment, it is not going to kill the people, it is not going to maim the people. So, this is how actually the government has taken enough steps to improve the safety of the passenger.
How union government has converted all the unmanned level crossing to the manned level crossing?
The other area where Indian Railway has been facing a very severe criticism is on unmanned level crossings. Ideally speaking, in an unmanned level crossing, a motor vehicle is supposed to look at both sides. They have to see whether the train is coming or not, and then only after ensuring that the train does not come anywhere nearby, they should cross the track. This is the rule, and this is how it should happen. But unfortunately, we know about the behavior of our drivers. Our drivers are very reckless. Even when they see a train is approaching, they wanted to cross the track before the train comes, and in that process they get caught in the tracks and then get killed. And they don't not only kill themselves, they kill the passengers who are traveling in their vehicle. So, this is what is happening, and this has been a very serious issue for India for a very long time. In fact, in 2006, when Lalu Prasad Yadav was the railway minister, he announced proudly in the parliament that we have 20,000 crore rupees as excess money from Indian Railways, and this is how I run the Indian Railways. So, he was boasting about himself. At that time, a public interest litigation was also filed in the Supreme Court, asking the Supreme Court to remove all the unmanned level crossings, because at that time there were around 20,000 unmanned level crossings. And the government, the Supreme Court asked then the railway minister Lalu Prasad Yadav, if you have so much money or 20,000 crores at your disposal, why don't you spend the same for removing unmanned level crossings? Because 20,000 crores appears to be a very high amount, but once the 6th Pay Commission came into existence, whatever the savings that they got, Lalu Prasad Yadav claimed to have got, have disappeared in no time, because every pay commission is a big burden on railway ministry, and this has happened in the case of in 2007-8 when the 6th Pay Commission was implemented. So, the question is not about how much excess revenue you have, whether you are spending it for improving the safety systems of the railway and ensuring that the life and property of the people are not damaged. So, that is what the aim is. When Modi government took over in 2014, there were around 12,000 unmanned level crossing. They have removed all of them in this 4.5 years. It is a big achievement for this government, because now there are not going to be any level crossing extents unless otherwise people go and hit the gate in the level crossing and then stand in the track and the train comes and hits them. So, it is a very big achievement, and it clearly shows that this government has a clear understanding of or clear empathy on the safety of the people, and this is what we should look for from any government.
So, what about the development works that are carried by the Indian Railway? Do you think it's far better or worse than the last government?
If at all we look at the doubling work, electrification of tracks in the last 5 years, it is almost twice that of what the UPA government did in the 10 years period. So, it is a very significant achievement for Indian Railways, because they wanted to see that the railway is becoming a major transportation mode for both passenger as well as freight traffic. And in addition to that, the dedicated freight corridor projects, two dedicated freight corridor projects. One is the Western Dedicated Freight Corridor, which is funded by the Japan International Cooperative Agency, and the other one is the Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor, funded by the World Bank. I have been at extremely slow phase till 2014. Although it was initiated during the Manmohan Singh period, it did not pick up well between 2007 and 2014 for various reasons. Once this government took over, it completely changed the administrative setup of these two corridors, and they have pushed for the speedy execution of these two dedicated freight corridors, because these dedicated freight corridors could create a lot of employment opportunities. It could reduce the logistics and transportation cost of goods and services substantially in the future. So, now it is expected that by 2021 or 2022, both the corridors, Eastern Dedicated Freight Corridor and Western Dedicated Freight Corridor will be completely executed and commissioned. In addition to that, the Indian Railway also has plans for another 4 dedicated freight corridor, and it will be initiated once the government takes over in 2019 May.
So, we knew that the first high-speed railway lines are coming between the Ahmedabad and Mumbai. So, for the other states of the India, when we can expect this?
Yeah, the first high speed rail, or what we call it as bullet train, is going to be constructed between Ahmedabad and Mumbai, and the project is underway. And there are reasons why this particular corridor is chosen for the first bullet train, because it is connecting 2 major cities, Mumbai, which has a population of around 2 crores, and Ahmedabad, which has a population of around 65 lakhs. In addition to that, there are 2 more cities in between. One is Vadodara, which is about 20 lakh population, and then Surat, which is around 50 lakh population, which is one of the fastest growing city. So, this particular corridor has a population of around 7 crores, and the existing traffic is substantially higher, and that is the reason why the reports after reports have been indicating that this is the best corridor to execute the first HSR project. But however, the government has been very conscious about implementing such high speed rail projects for other parts of the country. So, the government has already initiated some kind of studies on identifying the various corridors that are going to be constructed in the next 5 years. There are many corridors that are in the pipeline. The corridors are from all parts of the India, starting from Delhi to Ahmedabad, then Delhi to Varanasi, then Patna to Kolkata, Chennai, Tirupati, Bangalore, then Chennai, Vijayawada, Hyderabad, almost covering all the states, then Mumbai to Nagpur, Delhi to Bhopal, then Kolkata to Raipur, then Kolkata to Ranchi. So, it is like covering almost all the states. So, every state will get at least one project of high speed rail. That is what in the next say 5 to 10 years, and this is what the government has been aiming at. So, it is not fair to claim that only Ahmedabad and Mumbai is going to get the first rail project. Somewhere we have to start, and we have to start at a corridor which has a high potential for high speed rail. That means the existing traffic should be huge enough to go for high speed rail, but even before the first project is completed, other projects will be initiated. Almost every state will get at least one high speed rail project. That is what the government is aiming at.
Can you share me a few of the finest reforms that Indian Railway has carried out in the last 5 years?
Indian Railway has executed so many reforms in the last 5 years, but I am not going to elaborate on all of them. I will be highlighting only 2 reforms. The first one is about 25,000 Kalasis, or the workmen of Indian Railway, have been deployed as helpers or housemaid in officers and railway officers' houses. It has been happening since the railway has been introduced in India. For the first time, the government decided to bring all the 25,000 people back to the railway work. That means these 25,000 people who have been doing errands for railway officers are going to be a part of the railway maintenance work. They are going to maintain the tracks, they are going to maintain the signaling system, they are going to maintain the coaches, they are going to maintain the locomotives instead of maintaining the households of these officers. It is a very tough decision, because it is taken by the ministry and by the minister, and which will annoy the officers, and still the government has taken very boldly, and this has to be, is one of the biggest reforms. Even most of the state governments are not ready to revoke the orderly system of police forces, because in police force also the same thing is happening. In every state, some constables are sent as orderly to the houses of the senior police officers. They will be doing errands for police officers at their home, and no state government has dared to revoke that, whereas the union government, especially the Ministry of Railways, especially Mr. Piyush Goyal, has taken a drastic step like this. So, it is the first administrative reform that I could easily quote that. The second one is regarding the reduction in fuel cost of railways. If you look at the fuel for railways, there are two components. One is the diesel. We have both diesel locomotives as well as electric locomotives. And for diesel locomotives, we have to buy diesel, and for electric locomotives, we have to buy electricity. Till 3 years back, Indian Railway used to buy electricity from the state government electricity boards. That means the various state government electricity boards have been selling power to the Indian Railways at a higher price, much higher price than that they provided to the consumers, maybe a domestic consumer or farmers or anybody. Normally it used to be around 7 rupees per unit, 7 rupees, even sometimes it goes up to 8 rupees per unit, which is much higher than the domestic consumption rate of 4 rupees or 5 rupees. And this they have been charging deliberately to fleece the Indian Railways. On the one hand, whenever the Indian Railway increases the fares, the state government's chief ministers like Mamata Banerjee, Chandrababu Naidu make hue and cry about the prices, the increase of fares in railway system. At the same time, they fleece the railways in charging more for electricity when they sell electricity to the railways. So this is a very good contradiction in their approach, and they have decided to overcome this by electricity directly from players who are ready to supply it at say 4 rupees 50 paise compared to 7 or 8 rupees by the state electricity board. So as a result, they are able to save fuel costs substantially, especially with reference to electricity, and this is another major reform. It requires a lot of political will to take such a decision, and this is second important measure that Indian Railway has taken in the last 5 years.
Sir, new Train 18 which was being introduced by the Indian railway system. So what do you think is so special about that?
For the first time, Indian Railway has introduced Train 18, which is now plying between Delhi and Varanasi as Vande Bharat Express. What is Train 18? How is it different from other trains? If you look at any long distance trains, whether it is electric locomotive or diesel locomotive, all the coaches, and that is how the whole train setup is made. That means there is a locomotive followed by so many coaches, and they are all coupled. And when it comes to Train 18, there is no locomotive. It is a single train set. There is only a small cabin for the driver. Hauling force is being distributed by motors across the train, and there is a seamless connectivity between one coach and the other coach. We have seen the vestibules, but the vestibules in conventional train is very shaky. We know how difficult to negotiate when we move from one coach to another coach, but if you travel by Train 18, you can see that it is very seamless. It is like moving from one room to another room of a house. Train 18 is, this is what we call it as train set. The train set is more stable, less shaky, it can pick up speed very quickly, it can accelerate and decelerate very fast. It can go whatever the Train 18 that has been designed by the ICF Chennai can go up to a speed of 200 km per hour. So ultimately we need to develop tracks, we need to develop the physical infrastructure which can withstand 200 km per hour speed of trains. So it is not the push given by the ministry in developing a new train set and giving encouragement to the engineers to develop a new train set is not a mean achievement, because if at all we look at the cost of this train set, that is Train 18, which is around 100 crore rupees, whereas if you look at the cost of the same train set, if at all we wanted to buy from say other countries, maybe it may be Japan, it may be Spain, it may be Italy, it may be France, Germany, it will cost at least 300 to 400 crores. So we are able to manufacture our own train set at 100 crores than importing a train at 300 or 400 crores. And moreover, this is only the very first version of the Train 18. With more and more R&D, research and development, this train can be improved further, and in another 5 years we may reach a level where our train sets will be more in demand and compared to the train sets of western countries. So it is a great push given to the Make in India project of Prime Minister Modi, and this achievement is not possible unless otherwise there is a solid support on the part of the ministry to the engineers at ICF.
Sir, I would like to thank you for giving your precious time with us and letting us, common people like us of India, to know about the contributions and achievements done by the existing government. So, as a policy decision maker, I think you have done an incredible job in research and analysis of how a government has spent their budget and allocated for the development of a country. So, I would like to thank you, sir, once again.